Do what people will pay you for and become passionate about that. Build that business up. Then you can afford to do what you're passionate about.
Welcome to the 9 to 5 Quitters Club, the podcast uncovering the creator entrepreneurs at the forefront of a work revolution. Today, we're speaking with Larry Jones, creator of Stock Up, a platform dedicated to helping people build financial freedom and generational wealth. As you'll hear, Larry worked in almost every industry you could imagine before finding his home on YouTube. From music to selling siding and windows, the pandemic eventually forced him to find new income streams, and he tackled building his channel the way most successful creators do, learning as they go. In this episode, we dig into Larry's winding path to YouTube.
Had every job imaginable. If it paid, I was game.
How he chose his niche with many possibilities on the table.
What I found out through my research was YouTube paid a higher percentage for stocks, like 10 to 1 than it did music.
And make sure to stick around till the end for some critical tips on how you can leverage your own experience to grow on YouTube.
People come to YouTube for two things: to be entertained and to learn something, and in that order.
This episode is a great example of the lesser recognized side of YouTube, where you can build a dedicated audience simply by helping others and sharing as you grow. Let's dive in, and we hope you enjoy this conversation with Larry Jones.
I am crazy. People go, "You crazy?" And I always say, "You just figuring that out." I think in order to be successful, you have to have a tad bit of craziness. I've had so many jobs that have taught me so much, and I actually have had a crazy career. I came up in a family of 9. 7 boys and 2 girls in a 1,100 square foot home in Chicago. My dad was a CTA driver, Chicago Transit Authority, quit corporate America and did his own thing, and always, pounded in us to have that entrepreneurial spirit, which most of us did. The pandemic actually started everything. So I had a YouTube page. I had 16,800 and some change subscribers in the music industry. So I would have drummers. I have a video called The Mega Drum Shed. It's got 1.6 million views. It went viral. And I just had drummers just battling each other. It's like 4 drummers battling each other. And it went viral. And then I played a little bass on it. At the time, I thought I was doing well, 16,800 subscribers on YouTube. But I had a full-time job in sales at the time, and I was selling window siding roofing in the Midwest, Chicagoland area. So if you're doing that, you're not selling in January and February. You're not selling December, January, and February. You're just chilling, right? What happens is after that, you sell 1/3 of your business in March. What happened in March? COVID, 2020. And so my wife was in the hotel/entertainment industry. No one was staying in hotels when COVID. So here we both are with no income. And I decided to go to YouTube and say, hey, I know a little bit about investing. I actually wrote down 10 things that people will pay me for. Not that I'm good at. 10 things that people will pay me for. And the very last one was, I know a little about trading stocks. From then until now, I'm now at over 665,000 subscribers. So in the gist of it, that's what happened.
Wait, though, walk me through that decision process a little bit. First off,
yes.
What mindset are you in? What will people pay me for?
So here's the keys to success, and anyone could have a takeaway from this. It took me all my life to find this out. Is only you have your DNA, only you have your fingerprint or whatever, right? Most people think that if I do something I'm passionate about, then I'll never work another day in my life. That's not true. And certain things sound good, but they're not really true. The keys to success is do what people will pay you for and become passionate about that. Build that business up. Then you can afford to do what you're passionate about. That's the keys to success.
Stocks was last on your list.
Last.
So
Why
why
did I
did you
choose
choose that?
that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Because
Why didn't you go teach bass playing? It's, like,
exactly.
what was it? Yeah.
Because I've tried that. And so
Mm.
I'll say this, and you as a musician, you will get this. To be multi-talented is a blessing and a curse.
Hmm.
And it's actually a bigger curse than it is a blessing. Because if you only know how to do one thing, then you know that that's the thing. You get it. But when you can play
Yeah.
bass, drums, and you could be a good roadie, sound guy, I'm hitting all of the right. So you don't
Yeah.
know which one is your why, which one is going to make you money. And so what I did was I reversed that and I said, which one is going to make me the money? So out of the 10 things, it was actually 12 things. I started researching every one of them. And then what I found out through my research was YouTube paid a higher percentage for stocks, like 10-1 than it did music. Music is literally at the very bottom of the chain per view. Finances at the top. So I took what I knew and I started trading. I took my phone. Back then in 2020, I would enter a trade. I would literally click it, turn it over, and say, here we are. So while everyone else was spending their stimulus money, I invested it. I took
Mm.
$2,400. Remember those $1,200 checks? I
Yep.
took my wife's and mine. I took $2,400, and in 3 months, I turned it into $53,000.
And documented doing
And
that.
not only did I document it, I was telling people the second I made the trade, I was showing and sharing my trades, and then hundreds, and then thousands, and then hundreds of thousands start following me and partaking of the gains. So it's all legit. Every video is still up. So the more success I was having, the more I was studying. I was at this desk 18 hours a day. I was here.
Uh,
Yeah, I was grinding, 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 grinding. So I started studying everything really hard. So remember, I was already making a little money in the stock market from 2007. I traded all through that. So I just built on what I already knew fundamentally.
so you knew enough to feel like you knew more than other people, right? And that's
Well,
how you could help them.
well, let me help your followers. I didn't think I knew enough. And that's the
Uh,
thing. I did not think I knew enough. But the good thing about this space is once you put it out there, and I literally said, follow me on this journey. I said, I don't know everything, but we are going to learn together.
so how long did it take to replace your salary?
It was July 10th of 2020. I started tracking things, right? Drum roll, please. My first month check was $75.
Woohoo!
Let's go to steak. More like steak and shake. All right.
Yeah.
So my second month was 15, and my third check was somewhere in the area of 3,500. So I told
This is
my
all
wife,
from AdSense
AdSense.
from
And
Google.
so I
Yeah.
told my wife, that's it. I'm done. I'm calling the office telling them not to set me any more leads. And I took a leap of faith. She's like, but that's not enough. I said, listen, you're looking at the actual numbers. I'm looking at growth percentage month over month, right? After that $3,500 check, I just remembered the next month. Now we're getting towards the end of the year, was 5,000, right? Still not enough for me and my wife, but now I'm getting to the place where I'm replacing my income. And so what I did at that point, I never tell anybody quit your job and start. No, do this while you're doing your job. Then when you see you can have a smooth transition, that's what you do. And so once I hit that 5,000, that's when I quit. And then of course, I've had some crazy months income wise just from AdSense. But there's been some crazy months where they pay you 1/5 of what they, used to pay
Yeah.
you. So the fluctuation is like during the bear market, there was times where 2022, I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit. It just wasn't working anymore. But I felt like I my fans were depending on me, and I stayed the course.
Every time I talk to a new creator in isolation, it's easy to think that that person's story isn't replicable at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some aren't, some elements, the pandemic, stuff like that, like were accelerators.
Right.
But what I also think is so unique about your journey is you were building your platform showing people how you were making money.
Yes.
So you were making money
Yes.
regardless of the YouTube growth and all of that.
In spite of.
In spite of, yeah. Do you look at other industries or other niches and see a similar opportunity that may not be stocks, or do you think that's part of the stock world or the crypto world and why you chose it? For
No.
someone who maybe doesn't want to do stocks and stuff, do you see other opportunities to do a similar thing?
I do. I always look for opportunity. As a musician, as a bass player, my soloing technique wasn't based off of other bass players. It was actually based off of trumpets. Da 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 da. Like Petitucci, right? And
Yeah.
so I took that same thing and I went to the seminar, and there was this lady who just had sewing machines. She taught sewing machines, right? That's on this platforms, and she taught how to use certain fabric patterns and certain sewing machines. She blew my mind because I saw the way she built her business. And I have takeaways from everybody and everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. This woman built an empire off of sewing machines. Who use sewing machines anymore? Well, she found her herd. She found her tribe. People are going to buy content, especially on YouTube. People come to YouTube for two things. And I learned this. Every single video I make, I literally study the analytics. They come to YouTube to be entertained and to learn something. And in that order, they come to be entertained and to learn something. So if you and I were twins and we're talking about the same thing, right? If we are triplets, so two of my brothers look exactly like me and they talking about the exact same thing. What's going to make me stand out? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to dress different. I'm going to ask different. So when I'm here, every now and then I'll put on a suit like, oh, this is the news today, blah, 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 blah. But I'm myself. And I want all of your listeners to hear this. Your employer believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And I got facts. You don't believe in yourself enough to do this for yourself, but your employer believes in you enough to buy your time and to use your gift. Just let that simmer for a minute. Let that marinate for all you cooks out there. You're trading time for money when you go to work. When you punch in that clock, you are trading time for money. Your employer found out a way to get you to get dressed in the morning, drive through snow, drive through whatever, get to work, and give them 8 hours of you giving them 8 hours of your time. And they are making money off of you. So why not you be as smart as your employer and say, how can I make money off of me since this is my gift? But right now is making room for somebody else. How can it make room for me? If you're driven and you think you want to be an entrepreneur and you lazy, you gonna starve. You ain't gonna eat.
That's a nice turn of thinking that, like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to believe in yourself as much as an employer would. And you have to believe in yourself enough to. I've heard some creators say you almost need to have a delusional belief in yourself to do well in this.
I understand
And
that.
then it may come true,
Hmm.
but it is to start, you have to believe you can do things you've never done before.
Right. Right. You to be president of the United States, you got to be somewhat narcissistic a little bit. You
Yeah.
think about it. Regardless of
Yeah.
who the president is, you got to believe in yourself to say, I'm the best person in the United States to run this country. Think about that.
Was that a mindset that you grew up with or had a lot, or was that
Yes.
difficult to develop in this space?
That was a mindset I grew up with. And I will tell you this, at some point, I believe that 95% of the people that walk the face of this earth from the history of this earth never operate in their why. Most of your listeners right now went to college. The ones that went to college, they're not doing what they went to college for, right? Think about it. Challenge everything you've been taught, everything. Challenge everything you see in here. And they haven't. It's just the way the system is. The 5% needs your money. So they create the commercials and everything and tell you, you got to buy this, you need this, you need this, you need this. All the while they're making money off of you. And so what you got to do is break away from the herd. Break away from the herd and think about things differently.
I didn't go to college, and I often have people asking me, when did you do all these things when we just talk about life? And I
Mhm.
imagine you're kind of similar. And people don't talk about, aside from the financial debt of college, the time debt. And
Yeah.
just like how many things you can do in 4 to 8 years of life.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah, what are some skills you picked up in what seems like irrelevant jobs, but that have helped you in this place?
I worked for an advertisement agency. I worked for printing. So I learned by watching. There's so many lessons on your job right now. And so I learned advertisement there, right? Window siding roofing. I literally used to sell for Home Depot, right? I was in over 9,000 homes. I written over 6 to 7,000 contracts. And so I learned how to turn people's no into a yes. This is the biggest lesson I learned. People are not thinking what you're thinking that they're thinking. And so let's say you build out a course and you're trying to price it. I would probably only pay this, or, oh, I would pay $10,000 for that. So you go from one end to the next end, extreme, instead of researching and seeing what people actually will pay for it. So these are the jobs that prepared me for where I am now. Before I got into this, I already had the cameras. I was shooting my videos from my studio and I was uploading. As mix engineers, we take sound waves and we're mixing drums, bass, choir. I used to record choirs and overdubs and stacking. And you got 48 tracks, 60 tracks sometimes. I did an orchestra. And it's all movements of one. If I make the kick drum 1% better, if I make the bass 1% better. So all of
Mm-hmm.
these 1%
Mm-hmm.
add up to 100%. You already know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is another thing that showed me that if I work it right with consistency, and if I just make this a little better, and this a little better, and this a little better, then I'll have a good product eventually. But I also know that day one, this mix is going to sound horrible because it's unmixed. So my first video was just raw. Okay.
Yeah.
But every video I do, I'm mixing it and I'm making this. I'm making her vocal. Just I got to do a high pass. I got to low pass. I got to do all of these 1% moves to give me 100% mix. And so these are the lessons that you are in your job right now that's going to prepare you to do what you are supposed to be doing for you.
Being an artist can be very like, I want to say something, and there's one magnum opus way to say it, and you'll spend a year making this one song or something.
Yes.
That is the antithesis to the content world.
Yeah. Yes.
Was that a hard adjustment? Because the content world is like, I'm going to spend a year making every possible version of this.
Right.
Right?
That's a great
Was that
question.
hard?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. And that's something you got to break away from. There's a site as a musician, it's called Gear Slut. We're
Yep.
all of us, everybody that's in the studio, we're gear sluts. Excuse me if that offends anybody. We're
No.
just, if I just had this piece of gear, my mix is going to sound so much better. No, it's not, because it's the user, as you know. Oh, which DAW is the best? Pro Tools or Logic. It don't matter. It's your skill. And so once I started to break away from that and learn that it's the polar opposite of that, then I was better.
YouTube can be purely, you nailed it. It's like the two things, entertainment and education, in that order.
Yes.
Why did you choose education versus just entertainment?
Because education paid the bills, entertainment didn't. Again, I always research before I react. Now, what I found out is that I was actually more talented in education than I was in music. And just because you have been doing something for years don't mean that that's your why. That's the biggest thing I have found out over 1,700 videos. All my life, I thought it was design, construction, and music. That's what I thought it was. And here I am telling you it was none of those things. Though I've had great success in all of those, but not enough success. So I'm a spiritual person. So in 2020, I went down in the studio, put on my mood light, and just had some elevator music on, and I meditated for 3 hours. And I always have this concept. The best thing that ever happened to me was the rug pull. A rock can't fall from the ground. And when you approach whatever your why is, I need you to be fluid like water. What we do is we go to our preconceived ideas and say, it's gotta be this. It's gotta be a mix engineer. It's gotta be a bass player. And I'm telling you, from someone of my young age, that, see how I said young? So that has held me captive for all of my life. Most of the millionaires, through my research, are college educated. Most of the billionaires dropped out in high
Or
school.
not. Yeah.
You can't fight facts. You can't fight facts. So now here I am. I talk to 660,000 people every day, and I had to take math over again in high school. I barely came out of DeVry Institute of Technology. I didn't go to Harvard or Yale. But I'm going to tell you that in 2020, I made about $60,000. In 2021, I netted over 1.4 million. I had the biggest tax bill I ever seen in my life.
I bet. Yeah.
But I will tell you, it was because I leaned into my fears. And it was because I stepped out. And it was because I challenged everything I knew and thought, including me. And I refused to be stuck on stupid, meaning insane, should I say, doing the same thing and expecting something different.
Do you have a perspective on where this is going with the kind of money you can make teaching
Yeah.
online? What's
Yeah.
the future of education?
10 years ago, you asked any kid in school what they wanted to be, NFL player or rapper. This was number one and number two. If you ask them today, what do they want to be? Guess what's number one right now?
Like a TikToker?
Content creator. So for all of the content creators out there, you're at the top of the chain. There's going to be college courses that are going to be teaching how to be a content creator. Rappers want to be NFL players. NFL players and all of that want to be rappers. And then when you look at the games, actresses and actors are front court because they all watch sports, right? But you take the rappers, the NFL players, and the actors and actresses, they all consume content. They're watching us. We're at the top of the chain. If you don't embody the whole lane that you're in, somebody else will.
Man, we're going into interesting times.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But hey, can I say this?
Yeah.
I started my YouTube page in 2009 and was going to shut it down in 2020 because I wasn't making any money. 2009. And so once I changed this, everything changed.
Just want to wrap up with some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What gets you out of bed every day?
I'm excited about the opportunity to make someone else some money. That's what gets me out of bed. And then I want that if something happens to me, I want my wife and my kids to be taken care of. I'm very driven and I don't take it for granted because I know at any day it could stop.
What's the number one lesson you learned from music that you use every day?
The power of mixing, like I was saying. The power of one. They all come together.
Best slice of pizza in Chicago.
Oh man, Giordano's. Come on, man. Don't let nobody else tell you that, man. Come, no. Listen. If you don't like deep dish pizza, something is wrong with you. Go to the doctor. As a matter of fact, leave the country because that's against the law. Just go ahead and leave the country right now.
I mostly interview New York people, so I wanted to ask a Chicago guy.
I've been to New York so many times. Pizza is not better than Chicago. I rest my case.
Last question. What do you say to someone who wants to do what you do but doesn't think they can?
Your entire life is wrapped around 24 hours. This is so powerful. Please listen to this. Your entire life is wrapped around 24 hours. 8 hours you're supposed to sleep. 8 hours you give to your employee, though some give more or less, right? And then you got 8 hours to do whatever you want to do. In 2020, I woke up after the death of my dear beloved mother and grandmother, 2 months apart. I woke up and I realized that I squandered that third 8 hours away. 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours to work, 8 hours that were mine. And I squandered away that other 8 hours my entire life. Now, I was searching, but I didn't do anything with it. And so what I'm going to tell you that you want to get started, 8 hours is going to pass today. What have you studied about what you want to do? And if you haven't, and you're watching cat videos, or you're trying to see the latest gossip, or you're trying to see what Diddy did, then you, excuse my French, are pissing away your 8 hours. And look at how old you are and just put in 8 hours per day. So I'm challenging all of your listeners to start with 15 minutes per day with pure research in whatever area you want to get started in. I'll leave it there.
Larry, thank you so much for chatting. Have a wonderful day, Larry. I'll talk to you soon. Larry is a great example of how you can build an incredible business if you're committed to building in public and learning alongside your audience as you go. I hope you learned as much as I did today, found something you can apply to your life, and if nothing else, were inspired by Larry's story to take a hard look at your 9 to 5 and make sure that the way you work is working for you. If you want to join the thousands of other creative entrepreneurs who are building an income out of their impact, click the link in the description to join the club and learn how Teachable can help you do the same. same. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our recommended next episode linked here. Thanks again for being here, and we'll catch you in the next one.